Story 1. I know it is not healthy, but spending too much money on something often lifts me out of bad moods. Story 2. I remind myself it's okay to not be okay. I'll treat myself gently and let myself be sad until I'm ready to not be. If I need to cry, then I'll cry until I'm done crying and then make myself a snack. My biggest priority is allowing myself to process my emotions. Story 3. It depends on the severity of your situation. If you have any thoughts about harming yourself, please seek professional help. Medication can change your mental state if the levels of happy chemicals are unbalanced, and I speak from experience. In addition to that, try to be patient with yourself. Motivate yourself for small tasks. Even getting out of bed and brushing your teeth can be an accomplishment. If you don't have the energy for anything, treat it as a success. Try not to isolate yourself. Tell good friends and family that you are not feeling well and need someone to talk to. Do not bottle it all up or you may spiral. Engage in activities that are fulfilling to you, something creative. Take a break from work if possible or reduce your hours. Ensure that your free time does not become unproductive time, but be forgiving to yourself if it does happen. You are not a failure. You have an illness, and you are worth fighting against it. Story 4. The best way to feel better about yourself is to be useful and helpful to other people. When the focus is on others rather than yourself, you will usually feel better. Story 5. Cleaning the house is truly effective. However, when I feel depressed, I tend to immerse myself in it even more, though I'm not entirely sure why. Story 6. Start with a hot shower. I have bipolar depression, and if I can just take a shower, put on my bra, brush my teeth, and do my hair, then I feel a little motivated to do something productive. Or maybe not, but at least I'm clean and in a better mindset. I actually use a hot shower when I'm sad, depressed, upset, or even if I have a headache or stomachache. It resets my mood and is very comforting. Story 7. That feeling of depression starts to set in, and I don't want to get out of bed to do anything. I just go for it like Nike. Story 8. Depression doesn't heal itself, and there is no cure, which is why ongoing treatment is so important, says Hannah Simmons, PhD, a clinical psychologist and therapist in Denver, Colorado. Don't blame yourself for your mental illness. There are many reasons it occurs, including trauma, a genetic predisposition, as a side effect of other health conditions, or for no clear reason at all. Focus on doing things that help you feel better and keep moving forward in your life. Story 9. Naps are important. Sometimes, getting enough rest is essential for mental clarity and improving your mood. Story 10. Go spend some time outdoors. It is nice to step away from the internet. It helps to reset the brain. Story 11. I try to get outside for a walk, listen to music, or talk to a friend. Even small activities like cooking a favorite meal can help lift my mood. Story 12. I walk. Walking has helped me through my daughter's battle with an eating disorder and the pandemic. It is helping me navigate the existential dread of living in the United States right now. Story 13. Exercise and eating better. It may sound cliché, but it truly helps. Even a simple walk in nature, while listening to music, can make a significant difference. Story 14. Get your adrenaline pumping by going to the shooting range or riding a horse. Even visiting an amusement park and going on some rides gets my blood pumping. I always feel euphoric after doing something that spikes my fear and adrenaline. Story 15. Work out and go outside. Read a book. Spend time with your family and friends. Find an overarching goal in your life to strive for. Story 16. I scroll through TikTok and listen to stories on Reddit. Sometimes I play Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch, or I engage in intimate activities depending on the situation. Intimacy almost always helps. Story 17. Honestly, just wait it out. It always goes away eventually, and I try to remind myself that this is a normal part of life to broaden my perspective. Story 18. I go for a jog outside or take a walk. However, when it rains and I can't go out, I experience a panic attack because my mind is wired to think that if I cannot walk or jog outside, I will not be okay, and that is frustrating. Story 19. Go for a walk. Do a workout with guidance. Enter my woodshop and create something. Story 20. I eat lunch with my students instead of being alone in my classroom. They are good kids and always make me smile. If I'm not at my school, I spend time with my husband or call my friends. Usually, being with someone makes me feel better. Story 21. If I am at home, I find it helps to try taking a nap. Even if I do not actually sleep, simply lying down with my eyes closed can be beneficial. Story 22. I just went for a walk and cleaned the house. Staying active keeps your mind engaged, and sunlight has positive effects on your well-being. Story 23. Simple activities include taking a brief walk in the sunshine, enjoying a warm shower, getting an iced latte or hot chocolate, planning a visit to see a family member or friend with a dog. Story 24. Pop open my garage door and apply a coat of wax on the Trans Am, or take the bike for a nice cruise down the freeway with the radio turned up. It allows me to forget about life's current problems and focus on something I can control directly. I hope you start feeling better. Depression is tough, but things will improve. Story 25. Go outside. Even if it is not something I want to do, I will eventually force myself to do it. That always helps. Story 26. I have to lift weights while listening to heavy metal at full volume. Transferring mental pain to the physical helps, and endorphins provide some relief. Story 27. I am working on this. I have historically used anything that would trigger dopamine and endorphins to improve my mood. Even when that was a healthy activity, such as exercising or developing skill-based hobbies, I would engage in it excessively like a drug until it ceased to be effective and caused negative consequences. Some of the less healthy actions I would resort to included substance use, excessive screen time, pornography, and overeating. Story 28. Run in nature, take a cold shower, and meditate. These activities almost always improve my mental state significantly. If I'm still feeling low, I grab some comfort food and rewatch something I love while lying under the covers. I used to mix alcohol and substances for a temporary fix for my problems, but that only made it worse. If you are unable to deal with depression in a healthy way, please seek help. Story 29. Going outside for a walk with my partner helps motivate me to get up and go out. I watch comfort shows in the background while I work on tasks I have been avoiding, and I reward myself once I complete them. Story 30. I find a totem. Something small, unremarkable, and fairly insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but I find it nonetheless. Then I take care of it. It's cliché, but I have a house plant that's alive because I care for it and my family, and therefore I can take care of myself. It's such a simple way to give something importance, to show that you can extend the same care to yourself. A small reminder to be kind to yourself. Before that, it was a warm can of soda that sat on my desk to remind me that I wasn't desperate enough to drink it, so I didn't need to get one from the fridge either, and water was less guilt-inducing anyway, regardless of being the healthier option. Little reminders that inspire why you made the choice. Almost 40 years now, and aside from medication and therapy, this is the only personal discovery I've made about myself in the long run. Sometimes showing yourself that you are making a good choice is far more valuable than having someone else validate you. Story 31. Change something, even something small. Move some furniture around. Alter a routine in a small way. Break free from repetitive patterns. Story 32. Scream and throw things. I do this alone, obviously. When my depression hits, it isn't always displayed as sadness. I get angry, so angry and frustrated. There is something satisfying about losing your cool when you feel like you're losing your grip on life. I always make sure I never do this in front of others, though. I don't want anyone else to suffer and feel the challenges that I'm going through. Story 33. I feel like music really helps. Sometimes when I'm depressed, I start listening to emotional music and it feels good, but it can also pull me down too far. Intentionally putting on uplifting music can really make you feel better. Story 34. Honestly, get out of your comfort zone. My experience with depression has involved feeling stuck in a rut. It isn't about immediate gratification, but you will feel better for much longer in the long run. Story 35. Go for a walk through the woods, or if there is an orchard nearby, that works too. There are many large old pecan orchards in my area, so that is where I tend to go. Story 36. I take a mental vacation. I focus on what I love during certain hours of the day when I don't have any other responsibilities. Personally, I enjoy watching Star Trek, Venture Brothers, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the latest anime, and playing a game on my laptop. It also depends on where I am in my current interests. If I just discovered a new fandom, I will probably spend my mental vacation diving deep into the lore or creating fan art. The important thing is that it's free and accessible. Story 37. If I can, I take a nap or go to sleep for the night. My doctor shared an analogy for mental health that I always find helpful. Mental health is like a table. The more legs you have under the table, such as good sleep hygiene, a nutritious diet, exercise, social contact, and therapy, the more stable the table is. It's rarely just one factor, but we can do many small things throughout the day that can cumulatively make a difference. I have a toddler, so I'm often exhausted and sleep-deprived, making rest essential. Story 38. Retail therapy, eating sweets to drown my sorrows, talking with my mom. She is like my therapist. I feel like I can tell her anything, or just cuddling with my beloved cat for a while can all be helpful. Even just typing out my thoughts on a note can do wonders. Story 39. Hit the gym. The hardest part is getting there and walking through the door. But once I'm inside and moving, I start to feel better, especially if I can relax in the sauna afterward. Story 40. Get outside, listen to uplifting music, spend time with animals, exercise, and watch a funny comfort show like Schitt's Creek. Limit phone use, especially social media. If it's sunny, I visit a dog park just to watch the dogs play. Story 41. My boyfriend gives me reassurance when we text. He is so adorable when he says that I am perfect and shares his list of things he loves about me. He thinks everything I do or say is endearing. Story 42. A therapist once told me, if it's a mind problem, treat the body. If it's a body problem, treat the mind. This makes sense when considering the increased survival rates for cancer patients who have positive and resilient mindsets, along with data showing the beneficial effects of exercise on various mental health conditions. When I feel depressed, I can get stuck in my thoughts, so I make sure to check off that my physical needs are taken care of. I become motivated to take these actions while in a depressive state when I remember that I have made progress over time, and what I do now still affects my situation. Beyond immediate relief, I think it's worth brainstorming about your own window of tolerance and internal and external triggers. Additionally, embracing depression can be helpful. Sometimes my desire to feel better is an avoidance behavior, and I find I feel better when I accept depression as a normal part of life. I may still be depressed, but I feel more in harmony with myself. Story 43. Find a short-term solution. Watch your favorite movie, listen to your favorite song, or eat something nice. Once that's done, find another short-term solution. Continue to seek small distractions that don't require much thought. The more you engage in these activities, the more you will rest and create mental space to get through the tougher times, while also remembering what makes you happy. Story 44. Listening to music is a better escape, allowing you to immerse yourself in your thoughts. Unlike smoking or drinking, it can be beneficial, but I have heard that overindulgence can also have negative effects. Story 45. Distracting oneself with a book, movie, walk, or chatting with a friend is beneficial. However, self-medicating with unhealthy substances or behaviors is not advisable, even though it is common. Story 46. Get drunk together with my fiancé, do a lot of drugs, talk about everything, cry a lot, and use the pain to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Repeat. Of course, that's half joking. I'm just mentally really messed up, and that probably isn't even the worst way I've handled my feelings over the past years. Though that only relates to my own personal struggles, not to any issues I've had in my relationship. Story 47. The truth is I am lucky to have my best friend, who always comes to my rescue. I know that whenever I am truly down, she eventually encourages me to see my psychologist, and honestly, she is usually right. If I could recommend one thing, it would be to surround yourself with people who make you feel safe and supported. Story 48. Going for a walk and smoking a joint puts a lot into perspective. Sometimes all I need to remember is that my problems are not that big and that everything will work out. I did this last night with my girlfriend. We both took a deep breath of fresh air and went for a little walk. Story 49. Clean, get up, and force one foot in front of the other. Complete the projects I had been putting off. It works every time. Lying around in your own head contributes to most depression. Get up and get moving. Accomplish tasks. It's literally the easy solution that no one discusses most of the time. It's often difficult to tell depressed individuals this, because the last thing they want to do is anything. If you mention getting up and accomplishing something, people often criticize you for saying it because it's not that easy. Well, it is. And it's literally the answer most of the time. Story 50. I remember the things in my life that are going well, and I reflect with gratitude. Story 51. Honestly, it really depends on the day. Sometimes I just want to hide under a blanket, put on sad music, and let myself feel everything. Other times I try to do the opposite, like forcing myself to take a walk, clean something small, or make a coffee. Little things help more than I expect, even if it feels pointless at first. But what has helped me the most lately is writing out what I'm feeling. I started with pen and paper, then moved to my computer, and eventually began talking with a website where I can open a chat and discuss what's going on. I like that it asks questions, so it's not just journaling into the void. I've had moments when I went in thinking I had nothing to say and ended up feeling lighter just by putting things into words. Story 52. Think about dying. How lovely it will be to finally release. What it will feel like to truly let go. Where I would want to do it. Suicidal thoughts and depression go hand in hand. They make a perfect couple. Story 53. I tell myself that it comes from the feeling of powerlessness related to learned helplessness. Then I go and accomplish a minor life goal, which feels like defying the things in the world I cannot control. Story 54. To be honest, I just accept it. There are good days and bad days, so I try to make it until tomorrow. Story 55. Getting fresh air outside or going for a run are great mood lifters. However, if I'm feeling low, taking a shower is often the most effective step in building momentum back to normalcy. From there, I clean my place, attempt to cook a meal, and get some sleep. Sometimes advice like just take a shower and make your bed is easier said than done, but I find those small steps tend to lead to bigger ones. Story 56. I reread something I know I'm going to love, usually a fantasy series I've read a few times. It's a warm, comfortable place filled with characters I know and a story I love. Story 57. Walking in nature has numerous benefits. Studies show that contact with natural environments helps reduce stress, improve mood, and decrease symptoms of depression and anxiety. Walking among greenery lowers cortisol levels, promotes the release of endorphins and serotonin, and improves concentration. I believe that being immersed in nature provides a sense of connection to something greater, alleviating the isolation often linked to depression. Story 58. Taking small steps, such as talking to someone or going for a walk, can really help when you are feeling down. Story 59. I pretend I am a simulation and encourage myself to do things that are beneficial for me, such as maintaining basic hygiene, exercising, and eating properly. As these activities become easier, I gradually add more to my routine, like flossing or applying lotion after a shower. Story 60. True depression is hard to overcome, but self-awareness, positive thoughts, and supportive friends can help. An affirmation journal can also be beneficial. Sometimes it can be debilitating and cause you to freeze, but if you take a few deep breaths and remind yourself that it will pass, you will make it through. Good luck. Story 61. I sleep a lot. Then I get tired of it and focus on exercising. It's hard to train when you're genuinely depressed, but after I overcome that barrier and grab those kettlebells, I feel much better. I also take 3 different medications that make a huge difference in my everyday life. There is no denying it. Story 62. Force myself into a healthy but simple routine with no exceptions. Maintain consistent sleep and wake times of 7 to 8 hours. Use cannabidiol to assist with sleep. Exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes, ideally 60 minutes, daily. Get sunlight for a few minutes several times a day. Story 63. I get up and move around the house, play video games, and spend time with my dog, who is very funny. I also listen to positive affirmations and uplifting music. Story 64. Dogs and cats can be great companions to play with. Activities like enjoying nature, going to the gym, or taking walks depend on personal preferences, but being active during challenging times is beneficial. Deep contemplation can be difficult during these periods, which is why I emphasize the importance of staying active. Story 65. Music, sometimes work out, eat something tasty, drink a soda, and then lay down some impressive riffs and breakdowns on the guitar. Story 66. I am not very good at it. I try to address the root of the stress. It doesn't always work, and I do not recommend doing this to anyone. Story 67. I volunteer at my local animal shelter or pick up trash on the beach. I try to do something for someone else, even if I do not know them or will not directly see the benefit. It makes me feel a little better. Story 68. I try to stay physically active, even though it is really hard when I am in a bad mood. Music and comfort food also help a lot. Story 69. I usually watch a sitcom or something funny, and most of the time, it's a random episode of Friends. By nature, I have a positive and cheerful personality, and I love to smile. However, contrary to what people might think, I do have moments when I feel low. Watching something funny during those times reminds me why I love life so much. Sitcoms help me reconnect with that cheerful side of myself. Story 70. I sleep. It doesn't really make me feel better, but I stop feeling for a while until I wake up and subject myself again to what made me depressed in the first place, unless I find some sort of distraction. Story 71. The bathtub is my go-to place for relaxation and happiness. Sometimes I listen to a podcast, meditate, or read a book. Other times, I simply lie there and let the hot water work its magic. Story 72. Picture myself in a distant place with the scent of the air after a rainstorm. I walk with ease and joy on the muddy dirt road. People poke their heads out of windows and wave as I pass by. I decide to sit on a shaky bench across from an old church and close my eyes. I hear rolling thunder in the distance, then see lightning dazzle the sky. It starts to rain lightly, and I know it is time to return home. But I know I will be back again. Story 73. So, when I'm having a really down day, I tell myself that my mind is playing tricks on me, and I try to go to bed early. Most days, I wake up feeling like I am reset, and things don't seem as bad. I do what I can to avoid negative spirals, like reading or finding distractions. I also take medication that helps stabilize my mood and makes this all possible. This approach works for me, and I recommend seeking professional help if you need it. There is no shame in therapy or mental health medication. Story 74. To be honest, I know this is strange, but whenever I feel empty or think I am depressed, I read books that explore similar feelings. It might seem odd, but recognizing and relating to the characters in the stories motivates me to keep going. Story 75. Putting on music and going for a walk helps clear my head. It's not a magic fix, but it makes things feel lighter. Story 76. Take Prozac. Then I exercise, journal, and socialize. I focus on hobbies and ensure I have something to look forward to, such as a trip. It helps keep my depression at bay. Story 77. I picked up many hobbies over the last few years. I even improved my drawing skills when I could barely draw a stick figure before. I keep myself distracted to get through the day and reset after sleeping. Sometimes, I treat it as if I'm going through a breakup and indulge in what makes me happy, like eating ice cream or watching comfort movies. I've been dealing with this for so long that I'm afraid to return to how I used to be, but I know I have to keep figuring myself out. I became comfortable at some point, and when my life took a turn for the worse, I didn't know how to handle things anymore. As much as I wanted to take the easy way out by getting a medical card, I realized that I shouldn't depend on substances and needed to confront my emotions. Story 78. Listen to music, sing, dance, watch something funny to make myself laugh and smile, go for a walk, or look out the window. Story 79. I recently hurt my foot and cannot work out or hike for 3 weeks. Some activities that don't require getting up that have helped me include self-care tasks like a scalp treatment, mud mask, or manicure. I also enjoy reading, playing on my Nintendo Switch, or taking a hot shower. Story 80. Isolation for a day or two, watching 90s TV shows, smoking a little, having a few drinks, showering a lot, and using the hair dryer to drown out thoughts of doom. I listen to music and talk to an old friend, but I avoid most of reality so I can detox from trying to function and interact. I'll go back into the matrix, but every now and then I need to tune into myself and step away from it all. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.